Hello subscribers, welcome to Semantics tutorial. Here I came up with a new video which is very important for degree first year semester 1 statistics students. So here are four important questions, theory questions. So which is important for long answers as well as short answers.
So this is the notes which I give to my students degree first year. So this notes contains very simple sentences you can learn easily. So here I am going to explain what is primary data, secondary data. So before going to that, let us see what is the data collection first. So the systematic way of collecting information is called as a data collection. So collection of information in an order is called as data collection. So here the data can be collected in two ways. First one primary data, second one secondary data. So coming to the primary data, so in primary data let us see what are the sources. First definition, example and the sources of collecting primary data. So first is the definition, primary data. So the data which we collect for the first time is known as primary data. So whatever the information we collect for first time, that is called as a primary data, and the information which we collect will be of original, because as we are collecting the data for the first time. So whatever the sources from where we collect this primary data, so they are called as a sources, primary data, primary sources. So the sources from which we collected the primary data is known as primary data. So here also I have given the same thing. The data which is collected for the first time is known as primary data. It is first hand and original information, you can say, because we are collecting for the first time. And the sources from which primary data are collected is known as primary sources. So this is the definition. Next we have the example here. So what examples we can give for primary data? First one, Osmania University collects data on number of students passed and number of students failed. As the university is the one which conducts the exam and publishes the results, right? So this is the one we can take. This example we can consider as primary data. Next, what are the methods of collecting primary data or sources of primary data? So we have some four sources of collecting primary data. Let us see that four sources now. Direct personal interview, first one. Second one, indirect personal interview. Third one, mailed questionnaire method. Fourth one, information through local agencies. So first one, direct personal interview. So in this method what happens means, so the person who is appointed as an investigator, he goes to the respondent and directly interviews him to collect the data. So whatever the information he collects from the respondent is original and first hand, because he himself went to the respondent and the respondent himself is giving the answers directly. So this can be treated as first primary data. So direct personal method is one of the sources of collecting primary data. So we'll see the definition exactly. According to this method, the investigator personally approaches each respondent and gathers first-hand reliable only if he is properly trained. Otherwise, the information is not reliable or accurate. So what are the merits? So we have here first three merits. First one, it is possible to collect original, accurate and exact data. So this point is very clear because the interview is from one to one, investigator and respondent, direct interview. So information is original and correct. So doubts of the informants can be checked and clarified. So whatever the doubts they have, respondent have here he is a respondent and investigator is here. So whatever the respondent doubts are there, that can be clarified directly by the investigator, and doubts of the informants can be clarified in their own language. So whatever they have the doubts, they can be clarified in own language. So these are the three merits we have. Next comes the demerits. So this method is costly and time consuming method. Why? Because in traveling a lot of time will be wasted and asking questions. So this method is costly and time consuming. Second one, this method is not suitable when number of respondents are very large. So if there is only one respondent, like 3-4 respondents, it's okay. But if the respondents are in huge numbers like 100, 200, this investigation will be consuming lot of time and it is not suitable also. Next, skilled investigators are required to collect the data. So those who are properly, we have already seen that point in the definition, those who are properly trained, so they can be taken as a investigator, and because the data will be accurate. So skilled investigators only must be taken. Next, this completes our direct personal interview. Second one, indirect personal interview. So let us see the definition first. This method is not suitable when the informants are not interested to provide information directly. So when the area is very large, the information can be obtained from the head of the institution. This method is useful to collect even secret information. So here what happens in direct personal interview, we have here a demerit. What is that? This method is not suitable when number of respondents are very large. So I told you already, if the respondents are only one investigator is there, one, and here the respondents are 100. So we cannot it takes more time will be consumed and more time will be wasted in this investigation only. So in that time, we can go for indirect personal interview also, indirect personal interview. So or else if the respondent is not interested to answer any question, he is not ready to answer the question directly, so we can collect the information indirectly through his relatives, friends, or the known persons, or the persons who know him. So that is indirect personal interview. Few example: police investigation and CBI investigation regarding crimes. So regarding crime, suppose if an investigation is going on, the person is respondent is not ready to answer the questions, then we can collect the information related to him through any of our relatives, friends, or the person who knows him. So that way we can collect the information. Or else if a survey is going on, so the information will be collected from the head of the family, number of persons in the family, and the details completely will be collected by the head of the family. Or else related to college, if you are going to collect the information, then the information related to college can be collected by the head of the institution. Like that we can collect the information. This is what the indirect personal interview is. Next we have the merits. So here we have two merits. So if the area of investigation is large, then this method is suitable. This is here the demerit of a direct personal interview is the area is large, then we cannot perform this method, we cannot use this method. But coming to indirect personal interview, if the area of investigation is large only, then we can use this method. Next, if a person is drunk addict, that information can be collected from the third party. So I told you already, this method is even used to collect the secret information also. So if a person is a drunk addict, he is not willing to give the information, then we can collect through the third party also. Next we have demerits. So the information may not be correct as it is given by third party. So sometimes it is not trustable, the trustable information provided by the third party. Sometimes it does not provide the right information to us. And second one, the information collected from different person may not be same. So as in this investigation we approach the third party also, so different person give different opinions or different information. That time the information collected may not be same with everyone. So these are the two demerits we have. So third method, mailed questionnaire method. So in this method, what happens when the investigator sends a set of questions to the respondent by using mail. So now the respondent is expected to answer the questions, and to fill up the whatever the question sent by the investigator, he is expected to fill the questions, the answers, and send them back to the investigator through mail itself. So this is called as a questionnaire method. So we'll see the definition clearly. In this method, a set of questions is prepared and sent by email. Sent by a mail, or else sent by mail to the respondent. So I told you set of questions will be sent to the respondent by mail, and the respondents are supposed to fill up the schedule and mail them back to the investigator. So whatever the questions sent by the investigator, they have the respondent have to fill the question answers and mail them back to the investigator. And it is useful when the respondent are educated and the investigation is large. So in first method we have seen that direct personal interview is 1-to-1, like investigator is 1 and the respondent is 1, investigator is 1 and respondent is 1. Indirect personal interview, the investigator may be 1, investigator is not maybe, investigator is 1 itself, and the respondent may be like more than 100 people. Like that, if investigation is large, the number of people in the respondent side will be more, means then you can use either indirect personal interview or mailed questionnaire method. So this is about a mailed questionnaire method. And we comes to the merits. So when it is useful when the area is large. So same merit applies to the indirect personal interview also, and it is cheap and take less time. So sending by mail is very cheap and it takes less time also. Next, demerits. It is applicable only to the educated respondent. So if the person is educated only, we can apply this method. Otherwise it is not useful, because they don't know. If the person are illiterate, we cannot expect the answers from them, right? Next, some of the respondents may send in incomplete questionnaire. Sorry, some of the respondents, the ENTS respondents may send incomplete questionnaire. So at that time, if they don't know any question, or if they did not understand any question, then that time they may send the incomplete questionnaire without filling. So this is one of the demerits. So we have all the three methods. As of now, we have discussed what is direct personal interview, indirect personal interview, and mailed questionnaire method. Last one, information through local agencies. So this information will be collected by newspapers or articles published in newspapers or books, magazines, etc. So information through local agencies. This is about sources of primary data. Let's move on to the secondary data. Coming to the secondary data, so the information that has been collected by others is called as secondary data. So already if the information is ready and from that we are collecting the data again, then that is called as secondary data. Example, here results published by Usmania University used by some other people is called as secondary data. So already in primary data we have discussed that Usmania University example only. So university have the information related to number of candidates failed and number of candidates passed. So it is the one which publishes the result, and these are used by some other people like students. If they want to know the result whether they are passed or failed, they can check through the Usmania website. So the people who are using that results are called as secondary data. Now we have sources of primary data. So here also method or sources of primary data is same. So methods of sources of primary data are classified into two types mainly, or of two types. So first one, published sources, second one, unpublished sources. So we will see the published sources. So generally in the name itself we can understand published sources which are published. So example like newspapers, magazines. Let's see the definition. There are a number of national and international agencies which called statistical data relating to business, trade, labor, prices, consumption, agricultural production, industry, income, health, population, and a number of social economic characteristics, and publish their findings in statistical reports on a regular basis, that is monthly, quarterly, manually, etc. So uh, so you can collect the data related to national, whatever, based on what type of data you want. Here we have complete information through which you can collect the information. So we have a weekly basis or a monthly, quarterly. Also the information will be published, so from that you can collect. So some important published sources of secondary data are, so let us see. Here we have around four types: government publications, international publications, semi-official publications, and private publications. So one by one we'll see now. First one, government publications. So government publications from where you can collect data, examples are given here. The following are various government organizations which collect and publish statistical data and various fields. So first one, Central Statistical Organization, National Sample Survey Organization, NSSO, Directorate of Economics and Statistics. So these are related to government publication. And what are the international publications? We'll see now. So various foreign governments and international agencies like UNO, World Bank, International Monetary Fund regularly publish reports on data collected by them on various reports. So this UNO, World Bank information, they publish regularly, and that also you can collect. Next, semi-official publications. So various local bodies such as district boards, municipal corporations, banking organizations, etc. publish periodically. Periodicals providing information about vital events, social economic characters, etc. So from semi-official publications also you can collect like a district boards, municipal corporation, bank organizations, etc. And last one is a private publications. So the following private publication may also be used as secondary source of data. So this you can use this private publication also for as a source of collecting secondary data. So we'll see what are that private publications. So publications of professional bodies like ISI, CSIR, NERST, ICAR, etc. So these are also some sources where you can collect the secondary data. Annual reports of private banks. Next, information published in newspapers, books, magazine, etc. Reports prepared by research scholars of the university. So these are all the private publications where you can collect the secondary data, and you can use this as a source of collecting secondary data. Next one, we have completed first one, published sources. Under that 4 are completed. Next we have second unpublished sources. So unpublished sources means the information which you collect from the source which did not publish yet, like diaries, personal diaries, letters, autobiographies, and biographies. So from that you can collect the information. So this unpublished sources can also be used as a source of secondary data also for you. Next we have precautions for using secondary data. If they ask you to explain the precautions of secondary data, only go for that, otherwise you can skip it. So only 2 precautions are there. So first one, the organization must check whether the data is reliable and suitable for the statistical survey. So whether the information what we are collecting from which organization is related to our statistical survey or not, we have to check, first thing. And second thing, the investigating team should check whether the data is sufficient for present investigation or not. So whatever the data you have collected is sufficient for the present investigation, whatever current investigation you are doing, it is sufficient for the investigation or not, you have to check. These are the 2 precautions you have to take while collecting the secondary data. So now the third topic we are going to see is a questionnaire. Sometimes some will say questionnaire, so you can pronounce it anyway. So questionnaire is the right word to spell, but most of them will say questionnaire. Even I say sometimes, but right pronunciation is questionnaire. So how to design a questionnaire and schedule. So first we'll see a questionnaire. Let's write this questionnaire as a third question. So now, as already we have seen in sources of primary data, mailed questionnaire method. So same like that only we have a questionnaire. So questionnaire is a well prepared list of questions regarding the inquiry of the survey. So here what happens, questionnaire means it is like a designing a set of questions and sending that questions to the respondents to the through email. The investigator will send. Investigator sent the questionnaire to the respondent by mail. Now what he expects that the respondent should answer the questions and mail them back to the investigator. So this is the process involved in questionnaire. So what are the merits and demerits, we'll see now. First one, this method is very economical when the universe is large and the area is wide. We have already seen if the investigation area is large, then at that time you can use a mailed questionnaire method. So this method can be used if the investigation is large. So simply you can write like if the investigation is large, area of investigation is large, then this method can be adopted. Next, second one, the respondent may furnish the answers well, which leads to more accurate results. So the respondents can type the answers easily and send to the investigator, so which is very accurate because the respondent himself is answering the questions. Next, third one, the data may be collected conveniently from the rural and remote areas. So if the data can be collected easily from rural and remote areas also, it can be collected easily. Fourth one, the data is more reliable. So data is more reliable as respondent himself fills the questions. Next, demerits. What are the demerits? Here also we have 4. Sometimes the respondent may not return the questionnaire. So he may not return the questionnaire. He does not want to return. So that may be reason. And sometimes the questionnaire may not be filled up properly, hence incomplete, costless efficiency. So if he doesn't want to answer some questions, he will leave it empty. Or if he doesn't understand the question, at that time also he will leave empty. So that will be a loss and it creates inefficiency. And the third one, this method cannot be used for illiterates. Yes, obviously this method cannot be used for illiterates because they don't know how to type and send the mail. So this cannot be used for illiterates. And once the questionnaire is sent to the respondent, then investigating agency cannot change or modify the questions. So sometimes if investigation agency have sent a wrong questions or the question which should not be on questionnaire have been sent, then that time the rectification cannot be done. And next we'll see the features of a good questionnaire. So we have like 7 features. The size of the questionnaire should be small as possible. So only short, if it is short it will be easy, and should be simple, clear and ambiguous. Okay, simple and it should be clear. Next, should be brief. Question should be brief related to the survey, and question should be arranged in a logical order. So next, the fifth point is the question should be like a yes or no type, and like or else multiple choice questions must be given. Next, the sensitive questions or personal questions should be avoided. And last one is should not be open and preferable. Appropriate answer choices should be given. So like we have to give the exact appropriate relevant choices should be given to answer and make it easy for the respondent. So these are the features of questionnaire, and we have seen like a questionnaire definition, merits 4, demerits 4, and feature. If it is for long answers, you have to write all this. If it is for short answer, just a definition, two merits and 2 demerits are enough. And for features for short answers, like at least 5 to 6 points must be there. So here we have 7 points. So 7 are enough. So we have come to the last topic, schedule. So what is schedule? Schedule is same as a questionnaire, but here only the difference is that schedule has to be filled by the investigator itself, whereas questionnaire has to be filled by the respondent. That is the only difference. So we'll see the details completely. Definition: in this method, a team of enumerators is selected. So a team of enumerators is nothing but investigators is selected, and a special training will be given to them. So special training will be given to them. After that, what they have to do? Now the enumerators has to fill up the schedule. So now what the investigator has to fill up the schedule based on the answers given by the respondent. So the difference between the schedule and questionnaire method is that schedules are being filled by enumerators, whereas the questionnaires are to be filled by the respondent. I have told you already, schedules has to be filled by enumerators, the investigators, whereas the questionnaires has to be filled by the respondent. So this is the only difference we have. So this is the second point you can write. And the last one, the enumerators explains clearly the objective of the survey, the definitions of the basic concepts and rules to the respondent, and record their responses. So here the enumerator clearly explains what is the question, what answer you have to give based on that, and he clearly explains the rules also after to make the respondent understand clearly the question, and the respondents are expected to answer. Once they have given the answer, he records them carefully. So this is the thing happens in schedule. Now let's see the merits and demerits of schedule. So merit is that first merit. This method is used for illiterate population. So for illiterate population you can use, whereas the questionnaire cannot be used for illiterates because that is sent by the mail and the respondent itself has to answer the questions. Next, second one, the data collected by the method is more accurate and reliable because the question will be clearly explained by the investigator to the respondent. So the answer obviously will be clear and reliable. Information given by the respondents, D and TS, can be checked on the spot by cross questioning. So then and there itself, I told you that question will be clear and answer also will be given in the same way. So there is no question of getting irrelevant answers because the investigator once again asks whether it is correct or not. And that means he will cross question once again to make the answer confirmed by given by the respondent. Next, the identity of the respondent is known in this method, whereas it is not clear in case of mailed questionnaire method. So here, the respondent identity is clearly known. No, because the investigator himself goes to the respondent and he records the answer by himself. But questionnaire, coming to the questionnaire, that just the investigator sent a mail to the respondent. Now, this investigator does not know whether the respondent himself is filling the answers or the answers are filled by some other else. So that is the thing going to happen here. He doesn't know the identity. Respondent identity is clearly known in schedule, whereas it is not known in the case of mailed questionnaire method. Next, coming to the demerits. It is most expensive method. Also, it is expensive method because has to travel. The respondent investigator has to travel to the places. So it is very expensive and more time consuming. The success of the method mainly depends on the efficiency and skill of the enumerator. These are the three demerits we have. So more costly, more time consuming, and investigation success of this method depends on efficiency and skill of the enumerator. So that completes our questionnaire and schedule.
If you have any doubts, you can put in the comment section. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe, like and share the video. Thank you for watching.